What is up, lads? How's it going? How are you getting on? And welcome back to the channel. After an eventful game week with injury to Haaland breaking the FPL website before the deadline, it's time to start looking ahead to Game Week 15. In this video, we'll be looking at my Game Week 14 review along with my Game Week 15 preview. We're trying to hit 2.5k subs before the World Cup, so if you're not subscribed to the channel already, please do so. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. We start off at the King Power and the early kickoff with 3 City players in my team. The big news before the deadline was the fact Haaland was left out of the squad altogether and Foden was on the bench. I wasn't prepared to take a hit for Foden, so I played him in the hopes he'd return from his cameo. It wasn't what I hoped for, and he just came away with a 1-point return. He's also played 90 minutes in the Champions League during the week, so he could be an issue for minutes this weekend. Cancelo was the only returner, getting me 6 points from his clean sheet. After a disappointing early kick-off, I looked towards the 3 o'clock games in the hope of some returns. Thankfully, my wishes were granted, starting off with a double Newcastle clean sheet for Pope and Trippier. Trippier continued his consistent form this season with another attacking return that resulted in an 11-point haul. It also means he's now returned 10 times over the first 13 game weeks. With Haaland out injured, my hopes were left in the desires of a Crystal Palace clean sheet to give me a full house in defence. That just so happened, and Anderson and Guehi came away with a 6-point return each to give me 5 out of 5 clean sheets for my defenders. The 3 o'clock games were kind to me, giving me a return of 29 points, and looking towards the late kick-off, I was hoping for some Fulham goals. The half-5 game proved to be a disappointing one as a Mitrovic and Andreas owner, with the game ending 0-0. Mitrovic was arguably lucky not to come away with a sending off for a poor tackle in the first half, but it was a poor return from the Serbian and he was definitely off his usual form on the night. The last game of the Saturday night was left in the hopes of my captain Mo Salah, so let's review how he fared out. Leeds came away with a shock 2-1 win at Anfield after Somerville scored late on, to raise more question marks towards Liverpool assets this season. Thankfully it was my captain Mo Salah who came away with Liverpool's only goal to give me a 14-point return from the airband. His return now means I've got 10 out of 13 successful captain picks this season, so we're going well with picks for the airband. Moving on to Sunday's games, my hopes of a green arrow were left in the hands of a Saka differential against Forest. It was a dream start to the game with Martinelli scoring from a Saka assist, but unfortunately Saka came off in the first half after being kicked around the pitch by the Forest defenders. With all of these returns, I finished the week on 66 points and surprisingly ended up with a 3k red arrow, and I've now dropped to 380k overall. After picking up 5 clean sheets, I was expecting to see a green arrow at least, but it wasn't to be. I've now got 2 weeks left before the World Cup to make sure I get 2 green arrows. Looking ahead to Game Week 15, FPL Salah provides us with the clean sheet odds for the weekend's round of games. It's no surprise City topped the charts facing Fulham, and with Palace in poor form of late, West Ham ranked second for the chance of a clean sheet. It's good viewing for my own defence, with City, Newcastle and Brighton all ranking in the top 5. Looking at the anytime goal scorer odds, it's a clash of the City strikers, and it all depends on who leads the line for City. Haaland is the clear leader with a 75% chance of scoring, but he's still a big doubt for Saturday's encounter. I'll be hoping we get some league lineups before the deadline on Saturday. Ronaldo and Bamford are joint third for the chance of scoring, but I wouldn't be scrambling to bring them in this week. I go back towards the hope of some League City lineups, because if Mahrez starts this weekend, he'd be a serious differential pick. With Ivan Toney suspended for Game Week 15 after picking up his 5th yellow card of the campaign last week, here's who you should be considering replacing him with. We start off with a team in red hot form in Newcastle, and their main man up top, Callum Wilson. He's just off the back of a 19-point return last week, and he's got a nice fixture at St Mary's this weekend. The only downside about bringing him in this week is a Chelsea fixture in Game Week 16, but in the form Newcastle are in at the moment, there's every chance he could return. Since returning from injury, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has scored once in his last 3 starts. Everton have got 2 nice fixtures before the World Cup, so a punt on DCL could see a rise up the ranks. He's also a massive differential with less than 1% ownership. West Ham have got 2 home fixtures before the break, and Scamacca could be our main man for a punt over the next 2. He's also had a rest tonight in the Europa games, so he's well rested for the weekend. Solanke also returned from injury last week, and with 2 nice fixtures for Bournemouth before the World Cup, if he returns, he'll be rising up the ranks. Alvarez for City would also be a top contender here, but if we get news before the deadline that Haaland is starting, there's no need to waste a transfer on him. With the game commencing tomorrow afternoon, here's some tips you should be considering before the deadline. I definitely advise on holding your transfers until just before the deadline. Hopefully we'll get some City team news like last week, and this information will be vital in what transfers you should be making this week. Wilson, Scamacca or DCL are the best Toney replacements, and with favourable fixtures for City, Newcastle and Brighton, you should be targeting these players. With Jesus, Saliba and Dalot all on 4 yellow cards, I'd definitely be wary if we're thinking about transferring them in this week. If we do get League City lineups before the deadline and Foden isn't starting, I'd advise on bringing in Trossard or Almiron. With 2 game weeks to go, don't be afraid to take some punts before the World Cup. Looking ahead to my transfer plans, they all lie in the balance of Pep's press conference. If it doesn't sound like Haaland is going to play, I think I'll have to move for De Bruyne and give him the armband. However, with Haaland training yesterday, I think he could be okay for the weekend. That leaves the two main issues in my team as Mitrovic and Foden. If it's confirmed Foden starts, I'll be taking out Mitrovic for Wilson. Newcastle are in too good a form at the moment to ignore. If Foden isn't starting, I'll be moving him out for Trossard or Almiron and potentially keeping Mitrovic. That'll save me having to take the hit this week. Here's how my potential lineup will be if Foden and Haaland are rumoured to start. Pope in goals, Cancelo, Trippier and Dunk in defence, Salah, Saka, Martinelli and Foden in midfield, and Solanke, Wilson and Haaland up top. My captaincy lies in the balance of some league team news on Saturday, but for now, I'll be leaving the armband on Haaland. There's a lot that can happen before the deadline, so I'm not currently locked into my team. Don't forget to follow me at FPL Era on Twitter and Instagram, where I'll post my locked in team before the deadline. If you've made it to the end of the video, please give it a like, drop a comment below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There you have it, there's my Game Week 15 team. Best of luck for Game Week 15, I'll see you in the next video.